Hey, Brad Kohler here, former UFC fighter, MMA world champion, and candidate for governor here in Minnesota. I'm here chatting with Staxx.
Welcome to this episode of Chatting with Staxx. I'm your host, Bill Staxx, and today I got Brad Kohler.
Bill, how are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you for joining me. We got a better connection now.
Here we go. All right. Now we can rock and roll. All right.
Definitely. So I used to live in Minneapolis, believe it or not, for 6 months. Yeah, I was a DJ at the Seville Club and at the 10, I think it was called the 1090 something club bar.
Okay.
And I did a bunch of UFC events out there and
really
DJing, yeah. The LFA, UFC, in Chicago. Yeah, I've done all of them. Yeah.
Jeremy Bjornborg then, huh?
Yeah, he ripped me off.
Thanks for letting me know.
He ripped me off with some money, yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
That's why I came home.
Wow.
Because Jeremy ripped me off.
He's he's one of the problems we have that the UFC's not coming back here no more. He's very involved with our liberal boxing commission. And one of the biggest things I want to do when I'm governor is bring the UFC back here. We have a really big up-and-comer here. You probably heard of him. He was a gold medalist, national champion, Gable Stevens. You know, I would love to have him do his UFC debut right here in Minneapolis. And I tell you what, you remember Brock Lesnar, of course. And, you know, I mean, he sold out the house here in Minnesota, another great heavyweight fighter. And, you know, I wrote the laws for the state here in Minnesota. And then when I got out of MMA, the boxing commission came in. Yeah, Monty Cox and I really kind of incorporated the Iowa laws. I shouldn't say I wrote the laws, but I helped get it legalized here in Minnesota. I was the first promoter back in 1999. And I went from city to city to city to get it legalized. And, you know, we had to start off with the amateur laws of you know, open hand strikes in the bottom and everything like that. But, you know, it grew and it grew big. And we've had so many great athletes come out of Minnesota. And now this liberal boxing commission needs to go because they've ruined the sport and a lot of our athletes' future here in Minnesota. And it goes right in hand with our poor leadership that we have as, you know, Tampon Tim.
So tell me about that. Like, so you've been involved with politics for a while, right? And what do you think of the landscape of what's going on in Minneapolis now?
Well, you know, I said I kind of migrated away from the MMA world when my company really launched, and I was selling my boxing equipment all around the world, and I really got involved with the Parkinson's community, helping people out with Parkinson's because you know, like boxing is one of the great the exercises to slow down Parkinson's, and boxing is one of the more therapeutic ones for that. So my boxing product called the Combo Hitter was their number one endorsed product that they sold in all their stores worldwide. And so I focused on that and kind of got away from, like I said, the MMA world for a while and really focused on growing my business. I was a single father raising my kids. So I grew my business out of my garage and while raising my kids. So, you know, politics I just never got involved with. It was just one of those things. As a business person, it's kind of a taboo thing where, you know, like religion and politics, your, you know, ex-girlfriends, you don't talk about those things, like the country song, right? You know, you don't talk about those three things in business. And so I didn't because it's an emotional topic for some people. And then when we got shut down in 2020, you know, we have 5 states around us that are open. We're closed down. Lockdown, George Floyd kicks into gear, and boom, we're really shut down now. So it really affected a lot of businesses here. And I realized then that our leadership was making a lot of bad decisions. And I wanted to be in that room to find out who do I have to hit in the head that's making these decisions to shut down our businesses and make us stay locked up in our homes. You know, so I ran for Senate in 2022. I started in 2020. Then I ran for Congress right away. And then conceded to Tad Jude in the endorsement process, then right away ran for a county commissioner. So I was learning the state, the federal, and the county aspects of politics as I was trying to really get a grasp on what kind of a public servant I wanted to be. And so, but I announced in 2020 I was going to run for governor, and reaching out to a few other people, they said that's a lot to chew on your first campaign. Learn your way around, which I did. And then I ran in 2022. The guy that was in the U.S. candidate for governor, he lost, but I became friends with him and campaigned around with him, learned a lot of mistakes that our Republican Party does here in a blue state. And so learning what they did wrong, I started going to where they're the weakest and, into St. Paul, into Minneapolis, being friends with the minority communities, getting the felony base behind me, because my prison reform is I believe is my bread and butter for fixing crime here in Minnesota, because of the broken system that we have, and it's meant for you to fail, and so it's near and dear to my heart to help these people start their lives over again and help businesses that have been screwed by our leadership. So basically I could keep going, but I'm sorry, I'll let you go now. Sorry. I could keep going.
Yeah. So what do you think about the fraud that's been uncovered out there with the daycares and all this stuff?
Yeah. Well, they uncovered them in 2018 and they swept it under the carpets and did nothing about it. And it really did not come to light until, of course, recently, till our federal government came in and actually did something about it, because our state elected officials on both sides, they're all in on it. So this is horrible. It's an embarrassment here. And it's not just that. What's going on right now in the hostility in Minneapolis is also overcasting the other fraud that is being found out. So there's more out there that's being buried by all this hostility going on with our ICE agents trying to do their job. And, don't get me wrong, I don't think anyone should be shot by anybody.
Definitely not. I don't condone any of that. Right. People should lose their life in any regard. I'm for people doing things peacefully,
Right. But it's not being peaceful. You need to comply with officers. And honestly, the whole thing is just under poor leadership. This would not happen under my administration. I would be the voice of reason and make sure that, comms heads prevailed, made sure the law enforcement came in, we communicated properly. Personally, common sense for me says, hey, maybe don't go out there at 11 o'clock in the morning and announcing you're coming. Maybe go at 4 or 5 a.m. when they're sleeping. I mean, seriously, think about that. It's like, you see the trucks rolling in when everybody's out and about, then you hear the whistles blowing, you hear all the social media going crazy because everybody's awake. I mean, they're just coming for criminals. They don't even care about the illegals that are working, but then they're getting in the way. And guess what happens? Well, here you go too. And that's the problem. So all the communities that are involved with my campaign, which is the Vietnamese, the Lao, the Cambodian, the Hmong, the Latinos, okay, some of the Somalians, we try to tell them, look, let them do their job so we can get them out of here quicker. But the left, and I hate this, point fingers because I don't like the blame game, but the agenda and the media is, especially Walls and, our mayor of Minneapolis saying, we need to fight them. Don't put up with this. Get out there. Meanwhile, they're supping on a margarita while people are going out there getting shot. So, yeah.
Do you think Timmy and Fry are going to go to prison?
Under my administration, they definitely will if they don't do it beforehand.
So you'll see to it that they're prosecuted for all the fraud and everything else.
Bill, let me just tell you something. One of the things that's going on right now in Minnesota and why the federal government's involved in directly is because crimes are being committed, right? Fraud. State wasn't doing nothing, so the federal government came in, okay? Because they were not upholding the laws. What's going on now with the ICE agents being mobbed? Again, laws are not being upheld. So when you have elected officials that are sworn in to uphold the law and they failed their job, yes, that is a crime. That is allowing and provoking terrorism right here in our own in our own state, in our country. So yeah.
Is there a lot of people there
stealing the money? Sorry.
Yeah. Is there a lot of people there that agree with you that want all this to end?
Well, yeah, of course. I mean, they're fighting because they don't want it to happen, and then the people that are watching it happen are saying, "Oh my God, this has to stop." But again, our leadership is not stepping up. They won't listen to me, although I've tried to talk to ICE and the community leaders. The ICE agents are being told not to talk to me. The Republican Democrats won't give me the time of day. And so, our media won't even give me the time of day. So reaching out to podcasts like you, getting my word going is the only way I can go, because they have basically blacklisted me from the media because I am for the people, not the party. And although I'm under the Republican banner, I'm under the true Republican banner, which basically means, you uphold the platform and the laws, not corrupt like what they're doing. So
it's basically lawlessness out there.
Well, it's a word that is seen, that you can see it is lawlessness. It's not just a word. You're seeing it happen.
I mean, you see this woman just got caught with these cow things that you throw down and pop people's tires. If that's not like impeding an investigation, I don't know what is. Are they ever going to prosecute any of these types of people?
Well, again, when we have a county prosecutor and an attorney general that are for defending people that commit crimes, it makes it harder for the people. Again, you remember, laws are made for criminals, not the innocent people.
Yeah.
Okay. So when these laws are broken, and then you have our, again, elected officials that are letting them off scot-free without bail, signature bond, dropping charges, again, it is lawlessness.
So what is the first thing that you would do? And we got to help you get out there, get your word out there. I got some other places that I could send you that have a big following that might be able to help you.
That would be wonderful. Yeah. Well, we gotta bring law and order back here, protect our borders from the human trafficking and the fentanyl from coming in, and so we gotta do law and order. I have a great plan to increase our police force that is diminishing rapidly. I will use the National Guard to help in the meantime while we're replenishing our officers, which I support and 100% will back. And then we want to incentivize businesses to come back here by offering zero business taxes, reducing income tax by 20% and property tax by 25% to get the ball going right away. We have a mine up north in the Iron Range, okay, up by Duluth, okay, that was shut down years ago because of environmentalists that are, of course, teamed up with the left, okay, that shut them down. But there are safe ways to mine right now. And in the ground up here, we have $3.5 to $4 trillion of minerals. We're talking cobalt, lithium, copper, gold, silver, nickel, helium, and iron ore. More iron ore than anywhere in the world, which is not just American steel, but Minnesota steel. So we can rebuild, not to mention out of that $4 trillion, we have $3 trillion in oil. So we can create 100,000 jobs, which will bring us around $80 billion a year in tax revenue, which is more than we need to run a government. Okay. So we're going to talk about lowering taxes here in Minnesota and building infrastructure to do good things like the best mental health facilities, the best veterans hospitals, the best, vocational training for kids that don't want to go to college, mechanics, engineering, welding, plumbing, electricians, things like that we need to rebuild here in Minnesota in our education. And of course, I will go to war against this woke schooling stuff. This has got to stop. So things like this have to happen. So first and foremost, safety and security. We've got to bring our businesses back here and fight for our kids again to have a better education. So, yeah.
How were they able to get away with that much fraud? Because that's like, isn't that like quarter of their budget or something like that they took?
Yeah. So, again, they hired DEI. You know what DEI is, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So they hired all these DEI people. And during the shutdown, actually, during our shutdowns during COVID, our government increased the government by 40%. Okay. It doesn't make any sense, right? We have an $18 billion surplus. They didn't give back tax refunds. They didn't give us our money back after having an $18 billion surplus. Okay. And then they increased the government by 40% with these, they're called FTE positions, which means full-time equivalents of DEI positions, which people that aren't qualified that got paid full-time for part-time work. I don't know what business does that, brother. Okay. You're shut down and hey, let's spend more money on people that don't know what they're doing. Okay. So, and not just that, but our politicians here, they're DEI too. They are ridiculously stupid because they don't have any accountability or transparency. And again, what's going on is these fraudulent nonprofits are coming through. The DEI people who aren't trained or know what they're doing, they just say, oh, okay, stamp it. Here you go. Send it through. Meanwhile, then our elected officials are signing the budget to allow the money to go out the door, not even looking through the bills.
But they have to be getting a cut of this money.
Oh, goodness gracious. So the nonprofits, of course, okay, again, I say this in a lot of my videos that it's hard to believe that a third world country came in here. And now I'm going to make sure I say this right because I'm not saying people are stupid, okay? But when you come to America from another country, from a third world country, no matter what country, okay? And I'm not going to try to pick on the Somalians, which some of the community think I did, but I didn't mean it like that. So I want to say they have a 70 IQ, okay? An IQ of 70, which means to me that they're not educated in the American way of life. Not that they're stupid. Yeah. We'll call it, ignorant on our laws and our way of life. Okay?
And it's not all of them. Let me make that clear. It's not all Somalis that.
Wait, not all of them are criminals.
No.
But again, a lot of them don't know about our history, our education system, speak good English. And that's why I'm saying, and you can grok this too. It actually says 65 to 68, but I said 70. Okay. But that's what I mean by they're not stupid. They're just uneducated in our way of life. Okay. So I want to make sure I'm not trying to be insulting. So, so you have these people that had that are unknowledgeable in our way of life, outsmarting our elected officials. No, they're in on it.
Ilhan Omar, she is one of the masterminds that's this whole thing, I believe.
Right, but again, how do you get her then to go to Walz and Amy Klobuchar and all, even on the Republican side, Tom Emmer, and say, if you guys just kind of look the other way, I'll make sure these nonprofits donate to your campaign. And guess what? Shing, ring, ding, 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 ding. Money's coming in everywhere, and it's taxpayer money is being taken. And so here I am trying to save Minnesota. It's taken me 5 years to investigate, find all this out on my own dime. And so it's been very expensive. It's been time consuming. And I tell you what, it's been a fight. But you know what I used to do?
Fight.
Okay. There's no harder thing in the world than stepping into the UFC on the biggest stage in the world inside a cage against someone else who's trained. Okay. So the harder thing about this is you can't hit your opponents. That's the only problem I have with it. So
are people in Minnesota furious about their tax money being spent like this and being stolen?
Well, Bill, it's not just Minnesota money. When we're talking federal money, this is U.S., this is your too. Your taxpayer money too. So again,
Yeah.
I want to get everybody's money back. Okay, so that's what people don't say. Oh, Minnesota fraud. It is American taxpayer money because that was all federal money coming in, and our state elected officials signed for that. Okay, so our failed officials on both sides signed for your money to be given away to go to terrorism.
Wow. That's insane.
That's it in a nutshell, and it's insane.
And they have to be able to track where this money has gone. Like if it's in the coffers of these people's accounts, like they should be able to freeze all their assets, right? I mean, Tim was never going to win the presidency. We all know that. He wasn't going to be the vice president.
Well, thank God, right? I mean, thank God. And Kamala couldn't hurt herself even any worse than that guy. And so she hurt herself by getting this flamboyant little, dancing nutcase out there. And so I mean, if you look at any of the videos, his wife's a nut. I mean, his wife, his kid, they're all off the charts. Okay. And if you recall, he came out and said he can kick all the Republicans' asses. I was the first one saying, bring it on, man. Bring it on. I'm ready. I'll come out of retirement because, taking him down, throwing a couple headbutts. Yeah, he needs it. As a matter of fact, when I'm elected, that's going to be his only way to not spend life in jail is to fight me in the cage. He's got.
I hope he does get life in prison.
Fight me in the cage or spend a life in jail.
Now, if you are elected, are you going to remove the tampon machine from the governor's office?
Man, I got a list of day ones going on. Okay, our original flag right there. It's coming back. That stuff. Men out of women's sports. We're gonna bring law and order back to Minnesota, and we're no longer gonna be a sanctuary state. And it's not just the white folks and the black folks that have been here for years. We're talking about the legal Hispanics, the Vietnamese, the monks that have been here legally. They're upset too that these people got to cut in front of the line. But as I try to be the voice of reason, I would say, let's look at this from their point of view. Let's just say you and I, Dave, got a phone call from them saying, let's just say the Bahamas. They say, hey, you can come out here for free. We'll give you a $10,000 visa, a free car, free housing, free food, free health care, and you can come out here right now for free. Who wouldn't go?
Yeah.
And we're in America. I mean, we don't have it so bad, but try to look at it from people from a third world country that are getting that offer. You see what I'm saying? So how do you really blame them saying, yeah, I want my family to have a better life, my kids to have a safer community? And guess what happened? They were brought here to basically become voters, strictly for that. So this administration, the previous administration before Trump and right now the Tim Walz administration brought them here and put them in this situation. Now, I don't necessarily agree with how things are going, but I would like them to lead with dignity and respect and give them that time. And if you're working, I'd like to figure out a way to keep you here on a visa. But if you're a criminal, I'm sorry, you got to go. So we agree that some of these people are great workers, and I'd love to keep them legally here and be productive citizens. But if you're a criminal, I'm sorry, you got to go.
Do they get arrested and released right away in Minnesota?
They used to, but not right now. Not why ICE is here and actually the Border Patrol is moving out according to the last yesterday's agreement between Tim Walz and Donald Trump.
So they are talking right now.
Yes. Yeah.
But Tim's not safe. I don't think Tampon Timmy is safe. He's not going to be able to stop them from what's inevitably going to happen, which is he's going to be arrested and prosecuted.
There's no other path for him, and again, I have no problem with anybody's sexuality, but to promote transgender operations in our children and the indoctrination is a crime. And if you push that agenda and hurt children, I'm going to open up the floodgates to the criminal charges of every teacher, every administrator, every counselor, every elected official that push that agenda. You leave the kids alone.
It's wild that they're doing that. You wouldn't let your kid get a tattoo, right? If they're not 18. So why would they change them permanently just because they feel like they're something different? Because they're being pushed this way in schools.
You know, we have so many, you're right. We have so many tragedies that's happened here that keeps getting overshadowed by another cloud. You know, you'll remember the Annunciation shooting from a trend. That's one of 3 that happened here in Minnesota. And again, you know, this person was pushed in that direction through their mentors. And to me, that's not letting kids, you know, find their own path, you know. So I think, again, that's a criminal activity when you are brainwashing kids to change their whole biology and way of thinking, and then finding out that while they're going through all this changing normally, you're putting hormones in their body to, again, disrupt their mental capabilities. So, of course, things are going to happen. And this whole woken movement is just sad. But, you know, I want to dial things back to about 12 years ago when things were actually really good in Minnesota. You know, we're 2 or 3 on education. We had Target here. We had some of the biggest companies here in Minnesota, and we were flourishing. And then what happened? This woke movement, this whole thing about, you know, bringing the illegals here and flooding our areas with the welfare and raising taxes to pay for 70, 80-year-old people coming from other countries that have never kicked into our system, but yet now we're paying for them. And so our system has been broken down, and I think it was done intentionally. And so, again, you know what I used to do for a living? You know, I don't back down. And, you know, when you get to that level of fighting, you know, you basically say, this is what you do, and this is my opponent. Whether I'm ready or not, you go fight. Well, this is the fight that God gave me 5 years ago, and I haven't quit since. I believe this is what the chosen path I was given.
Do you think you're going to get a severe pushback from people in Minnesota?
Everybody's going to get a severe pushback. It depends on the people. You know, I'm just a regular guy. I'm not rich. I don't run around in some big fancy bus with my name all over it. Okay. But, you know, between, you know, helping create the, you know, legalized MMA here since 1999, having thousands of fighters and trainers and coaches, you know, in my wheelhouse, to my restaurants and meeting thousands of people that I've begun, you know, building these relationships. I think people know who I am and what I stand for. And personally, I think we've got to get away from party lines and start looking at who do you want that you can call and say, hey, Brad, what's going on? What's going on with this? What's going on? Hey, let me check into it for you. I think I'd rather be able to reach out to a friend. And I really do have about 100,000 friends in Minnesota. So, you know, that helps. And, you know, the Republican Party don't consider me a threat. And because I'm a real grassroots campaigner. You know, I'm not buying all this time on TV or radio or, you know, and my social media is okay. It's about an average amongst the rest of them. But my grassroots means I'm going to go meet with you. I'm going to call you. I'm going to have coffee with you. I'll go to your business, meet with you and your staff. And let's separate Democrats from Republicans and talk like human beings. What do we got to do as people to fix this together? I don't care if you're Somalian. I don't care if you're Vietnamese, white, black, Hispanic. What do we do together to fix this state? Because we're going to live together. We might as well do it together.
What about the voting system in Minnesota? Do you think it's broken?
It is on the verge of being fixed right now. And again, I believe all the planets are aligning for me. When I started this in December of 24, I was um, Philip Parrish got in right before me, about 2 weeks before me. Then I jumped in. Another candidate, I like him. He's a good guy, former military guy. We get along great. And then about 6 months later, other people started getting in. So for me, and a few other people don't believe in the endorsement process, because we have a candidate in there right now that's buying the endorsements by giving the Republican money to continue business. So he's basically buying votes, okay, through the delegates, which is about 0.4% of the state. So even though the delegates may endorse him, the primary is where we're going to have to take this thing. And in the primary, it goes to the popular vote. So it goes endorsement, primary, general election. Okay, so in the primary, if let's say you win 20% of the state, you basically win. Because right now we have 10 candidates. If you break that up in percentage wise, will I show up to the battle with a bigger army? Yeah, you bet I will. So that's been the plan. And again, the planets have aligned for me on this. So the voting ballots that Trump has been fixing and going to our state auditor for the counts and the machines. So, and of course, now that Venezuela has been basically taken over, those machines that were tampered with and was used before won't be used right now. So now we're pushing for the really only true way to vote, which are voter IDs and paper ballots. And again,
that's how they're going to do it this time.
They're pushing for that. They're almost there. I believe we have 9 months left to go, and I think that's where it's going to be. Or 8 months. 8 months for the primary. So, and I think we're going to get that. And if we get that, we have an equal advantage. Now, the Democrats are the Democrats, but there's certain areas of Minnesota that are blue. But those are the areas that I've been in for 5 years, building those relationships. And why? Because we never had Republicans in there, let alone somebody that now are my friends.
Yeah, so, Democrats are not all bad people. They're not, there are some good people that are Democrats.
Oh my gosh, I have so many of them that are my friends.
Yeah.
Again, it's not about let's leave the party aside. Let's look for the middle here and how do we work together. Even some of the candidates that are running Democrat, they're my friends. A couple that are already elected officials are my friends. I don't have a problem with them. Not at all. And they'd like to see me get elected because they know they'll be able to work with me.
Yeah. That's the way it should be, right?
I don't care if you're independent, Republican, Democrat. If you come to me with a great plan to help the people of Minnesota, yeah, let's do that. I'm not going to hold that back when people can benefit from something, right?
So how did Timmy even get to be where he's at?
Well, Tim actually was not the endorsed candidate when he ran. He ran against the endorsed candidate and won, and he ran as a teacher coach, kind of, his thing. Well, here we are, have a teacher as a governor, and yet we have fallen so far in education here in Minnesota that even Mississippi is beating us.
Wow.
Yeah, and not against Mississippi, but I think they have a really good thing that they've really worked hard at. And right now they're reaping the benefits, and good for them. But I think a really smart governor would go to other states and say, tell me what you're doing and take it here, right? And just like franchising, you can take that concept on any corner and it'll work anywhere in America if you do the same thing. Well, we got the same kind of people. We all put our pants on one leg at a time. Why can't we take that concept like Florida? Great state, low taxes, great retirement state. Why can't we do those things here? You know what? Alaska, people get dividends on the oil drilled there. Okay, great. Well, we got the mine and the oils here. Do you think I want to give people dividends on that? You bet I do. Why? Because Minnesota people deserve that after all the hell that our leadership put us through. Plus, it'll incentivize people to want to move here.
So you will work to give the Minnesotans their money back.
brother, I'm going to scratch and claw and find that money. My Doge will be some of the best schools in the state. I'm going to recruit the lawyers, the accountants, the business people. I'm going to say, find me the money, and then let's take care of your school loan.
So
I mean, I want to incentivize them to help me find the money. And again, this is what I want for my interns from the college kids here in Minnesota. Let's get that money back for the people of Minnesota. And so when that happens, we're looking at right now, it's going to be $12 billion that is gone. Not just that, but we are at a $7 billion deficit right now. That will be $10 billion when I take office. So how do we overcome that deficit and that big ditch we're in? We need revenue streams to help offset the taxpayers from digging deeper in their pocket, because most states and our government, their only revenue stream is taxpayers. So if we generate more revenue streams, like the mines, again, trillions of dollars, like the oil wells, trillions of dollars, okay? And I have other things too I won't go into because they're more in depth, of other revenue streams that we can do. We can really lower the taxes here, increase businesses, employment, and of course, safety and security, because we want to support our police officers and pay them very well. So, and we got to bring education back to another level. The things I want to do, we have the second largest college in the world, Minneapolis, Minnesota. And it's one of the worst colleges in the sports in the Big Ten, in some sports. But I'm an Ohio guy. And why are the Buckeyes so good every year? Look around Ohio. You got household names: Akron, Youngstown, Toledo, Bowling Green, Cincinnati, Dayton. I mean, all of these cities have airports. What's around those airports? Cities. What's in those cities? Schools. What's in why do they build cities? For commerce. When you do that, you build schools. You build competition. Ohio's got more competition in their own backyard. They're a wrestling team. They're a football team. Every team is stacked from recruiting in their own backyard. So why wouldn't you want to take a concept like that and grow our economy here because it works there? Now, they still have some leadership issues, and they've had some problems. But again, I'm not about the money. I'm an accolade person. I want to go to my grave accomplishing everything God has given me to do. That's what I want to do. Because you can't take the money with you, right?
No.
Yeah.
So if Timmy gets charged while he's in office, what will happen next?
So the lieutenant governor will probably take over, which also she'll be charged then next. And then, they'll probably, I don't know. I mean, again, I'm surprised he dropped out of the race, to be honest with you. This was his only and sure way to save him, probably from not being arrested or convicted. So him getting out is going to open up the floodgates, unless he goes to China where his other girlfriend is. Okay. And he's in bed with China. So he sold military secrets to China when he was in the military there. He went there quite a bit. He's got a girlfriend over there. And he's got his China representatives right here owning property in Minnesota, which I will pull that plug as well.
So if he is charged now, what will happen? So if the lieutenant governor and the governor's charged, who will take office?
It's a good question.
No
I'm sure that
would they hold an emergency election? Maybe.
I would hope so. Yeah, that would benefit us all. But this is Trump's got a lot on his plate. I'm a Trump fan, but I'm not an ass kisser. And I don't walk on eggshells for everybody, okay? This is about helping the people of Minnesota in this state. And the only way to help the federal government is to get this black eye fixed. Because if you want to work on all 50 cylinders and work smoother, Minnesota right now is the black eye of this country. And I want to fix that and, again, get all of our money back, get us working on all cylinders here in Minnesota so that the country has a better opportunity to. Again, we have so much steel in the ground. We have precious gems and minerals that we no longer have to buy from China. We can do a lot to help the country with the right leadership here. And that's what I want to do.
Well, I hope you succeed in your race and you have a big mountain in front of you, but I think you are the man for the job.
You know, honestly, you know, I'm 5'6". You know, when I fought, I was 218 pounds, fought in the heavyweight division in the toughest sport, in the toughest league in the world. Okay. And believe me, I was always David against Goliath. I've always been the underdog. So this to me, I mean, I'm in my own office. This is what I do. And I just try to inspire people to say, don't let anybody think you can't do something like this. And you just got to have, you know, faith in yourself and God, and don't talk about it, do it.
Perseverance, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
I think you'll do it. I have a feeling that you'll do it.
And Bill, I need people like you, and you know, I got to keep building my network, building those relationships with people that, you know, understand what my true goals are here, offer these opportunities. And I have a great team with me. I mean, much smarter team. They're the ones who educate me on how to fix this. They just don't want to get in front of the camera. And, you know, because, well, I'm better looking, of course, you know, but it's my hair, you know. But honestly, I need people. I was on a podcast this morning, 2 of them today, and I said, please share my content. Please share my message. You know, again, it's not about party lines, it's about the people. And I think that's what's got to resonate. You know, people go, oh, why don't you on Joe Rogan? Well, Joe's busy too. You know, he's a busy guy, and someday maybe. But my goal right now is to give the path I've been given, and God will help. You know.
Well, I see good things in your future, and I wish you nothing but success.
Hey, Mil, thank you so much for having me on your great show. You know, and again, if Jason's listening, Jason Reinhardt, another former UFC fighter, just a great guy, a longtime friend. I appreciate the connection here, and hopefully, you know, I can get some more connections out of this. My website is bradkohler.com. Very simple. When you subscribe to my website, you get my personal email and phone number. Everybody gets it. I want everybody to have my number to be able to reach me, and I answer the phone. I respond to every text. I respond to every social media message. So if you reach out to me, you can bet the house I will respond. So, so if you go to bradkohler.com, and, you know, I don't ask for donations, but I am selling my book. That's what helps me get through. It's called Built for This. It's a pretty good story. I think you like it. And with that, you'll get my trading card from UFC 22. When I had that incredible knockout punch, that's still one of the top 5 knockouts of all time. And, you know, so
I'll leave a link in the description of this video for your website, and people can go check it out.
All right, man. Thank you so much, Bill.
Is there anyone you want to give a shout out to before we go?
Everybody. God bless everybody. God bless America. God bless Minnesota.
Shout out to Jason Reinhardt. Appreciate you.
Oh, I did that. Yeah. Will he hear that before?
Yeah.
Okay.
Thanks,
Thank you,
man.
Jason. My man.
If you like this show, hit the like button, subscribe, hit the notification bell so you can get my videos every time they drop. And if you don't like this show, too bad. Start your own podcast.
Thanks, man. Love it, man.